A.G. Hines Company. They've been around for over 100 years, selling building materials since anyone can remember. So you're at ETSU. The head coach is George Quarles. He gets let go. The new staff tells you that they did not want you to return, as I recall. But you had an opportunity to go to Bowling Green. Somebody told me you had the plane ticket. You were ready to fly up to Bowling Green. Before you got on the plane, they said, we've already got another receiver committed. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's actually the strangest story I've ever recruiting in high school was a little bit more they kind of like kiss your butt a little bit. That's the only way I know how to put it. Like they're just nice to everybody, kind of fluff it up a little bit, I guess, like a salesman. But then like the portal recruiting is completely different. It's really straightforward. It's more so a business aspect. Like we want you, we don't want you, or you're here, you're there. Kind of give you a nice where you're at on their list and everything. So with Bowling Green, it was kind of different. Like it was literally, I think I was on the phone with the coach. He's like, "Do you want to commit? Like we want someone who's ready to make a decision." And I'm like, "All right, cool. Like I'll come up there. They're like, we'll get you a plane ticket. You'll be up here Friday, and if you like it, you stay." And I was like, "All right, cool." So Friday, that was on Wednesday. Literally within 30 minutes of even any kind of contact, like Twitter DM. 30 minutes later, I have a flight. And then the next day, he called back at like 2:00. I was working with Mr. Hyams in my internship, so I didn't get
Gordon
the call.
Hines.
Right, so I didn't get the call, so I called back, and he was like, Tommy, I don't know how to tell you, but we took a commitment this morning. So basically, they were in my opinion, they were calling people, and you could commit on the phone. And so the kid, I assume, committed over the phone and didn't need a visit. So that's how that kind of went down. It was crazy.
Did you consider committing on the phone, or did you feel like, no, I want to go visit?
I mean, I'd like to see where I'm gonna live for the next 2 to 3 years. I was like, there's no way this. When he said that, I was like, there's no way this kid just literally upped and left where he was and decided he wants to go to Bowling Green. Because I've never been to Ohio, which is where Bowling Green is. I was like, I don't want to just say I'm gonna go 8 hours away from home and have no clue what it's like and just go up there and have to wear a puffer coat all winter and everything. I'm like, it's freezing up here right now.
Was that kind of deflating to you? Did you wonder, hey, where am I going to go now? What's next?
To an extent, but I mean, there's a plan for everything. So I was in no rush. I mean, honestly, I got into the portal, I want to say towards the beginning of May, and that was middle of May. So it left me 2 weeks to figure out where I was going to go to school, really, because football starts in June, end of May. So I was a little anxious, I guess you could say, but my uncle and I talked every day on the phone, literally, hey, who'd you hear from, which was constant. It was someone new every day, but it was just no one would pull the trigger. So it was kind of anxious, had me anxious a little bit, but everything has a plan, and God works in mysterious ways, so I ended up right where I'm at.
Who's your uncle?
My uncle Brandon Winton.
Brandon Winton.
Yeah,
whose son
is Brandon Winton. Yeah, and goes to USF.
Yeah, played at Alcoa. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I want to take you back to your days at Catholic, and Coach Steve Matthews was telling me you were a special athlete even as a freshman and a sophomore. Put up a ton of yards, scored a lot of touchdowns. Tell me about your career at Catholic. How'd you feel like it went?
I feel like it was early on. It was great, I would say, and then as I got a little older, I probably should have taken care of myself a little more as far as like health wise goes. I think I played my entire junior season with like a pulled hamstring, so I should have just sat out that year. But I mean, things happen. Everything happens for a reason. That's how I get to where I am now. But I think I enjoyed it for sure. Made plenty of teammates, plenty of friends and memories and stuff like that. And I wouldn't change anything.
Coach Matthews told me that he compared you to Amari Rogers, which I consider a great compliment because here's a guy that went to Clemson. I think he's on a national championship team, a third-round draft pick by Green Bay. When you hear that, what do you think?
I mean, Amari and I are cool, so I think we're a lot different. But, I mean, I've gotten that so many times. It's nice, I guess you could say. But if you asked Amari, we would say we're completely different people. We play different. But a lot of people say even our play and the way we carry ourselves is the same, which is ironic, I guess you could say. But, I mean, I think it's a nice compliment for sure.
October 22nd of 2021, you're playing against Powell High School. And there's a special relationship that you have with their quarterback, Jordan Potts.
Yes, sir.
You made a catch, I think, between your knees at the very end of the game to win that football game. What was that moment like?
It was exciting for sure. I would say what's even funnier is like leading up to it. they had just scored on some random like fumble recovery for a touchdown, and their players are running down the field talking about it's over, it's over, it's over, and I'm like, just wait, like, and we go. I hadn't touched the ball the whole entire second half pretty much, so I start getting passes. We get down there, and then that happens, and I'm like, yeah, like all right, like where y'all at now? Like we just won the game, and y'all were just celebrating. Literally 30 seconds ago, y'all were celebrating like y'all won, but it was exciting for sure, memorable.
How did you make a catch between your knees?
It was raining, if I'm not mistaken. It had rained the entire game, so I had so many people be like, "Well, you could have just caught it. You could have just caught it." I was like, I didn't have gloves on or anything. I had taken my gloves off, jerseys soaked, and if you don't know anything about the football jerseys, they get slick. So the ball usually when you touch your chest, you can just stop it. But I'm pretty sure I probably tried to compress it on my chest, and it just didn't work, and it starts to fall down. I'm just frantic, catch the ball.
What did you say to Jordan Potts after the game?
I mean, I probably told him I loved him or something. That's probably it. I mean, we talked. We're competitive people, so we kind of talk trash throughout the week, I'm sure.
You guys were teammates in youth football at like 7 or 8 years old?
Yes, sir.
And you remained very close friends, haven't you?
Yes, sir. He's like my little brother.
Yeah. And now he's at Tennessee Tech.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on what he was like as a quarterback at Powell?
I think he carried himself well. A lot of people would say he's a cocky kid, but I don't see it that way. I see him. He's a competitor. That's all it is. He's just a very vocal kid, like vocal guy. Like once you get to know him, he's a really down to earth kind of person, and he did had a very nice career at Powell High School.
When the lights turn on and the game begins, you need a team you can rely on. Ray Varner Ford in Clinton's strong lineup of vehicles is crafted with the same dedication and hard work that drives our community. Step up your game in this 24 Ford Maverick Hybrid, $25,515. 23 Ford Escape all-wheel drive, $30,995. 24 Ford F-250 Crew Cab 4x4 STX, $59,757. Local you trust, performance you can afford. Ray Varner Ford, built for the game.
You faced a lot of adversity. We talked about Pruitt making an offer to you. You had some injuries in high school. You end up going to ETSU. The coach changes, and then you're left kind of out in the cold a little bit. But there was another particular incident that happened to you that should never happen to anybody. November 27 of 2022.
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about that day?
I mean, that was the day my mother passed, and I basically became like a dad and a brother and like all that in one day. So, I mean, it's a crazy, I guess you could say traumatic event in my life.
Yeah.
But, I mean, life keeps going. That's all I've tried to live by. Like, just life keeps moving on, try to go to the next day and just keep bettering myself and not focus on the past.
You had two sisters that were there, and you then came upon the scene. What was it like?
It was honestly like something out of a movie. I mean, I can, like, look at it and, like, say it with a smile now because it's, like, it's like in hindsight. But it was literally like something out of a movie, something I seen on a show. I like forensic shows like Criminal Minds and stuff like that. Law and Order. Yeah, but that was like the most obviously real.
Real life, yeah.
It was real life, so it was a little shocking, I guess you could say. But I mean, honestly, probably to this day, it probably still hasn't like registered completely. But I mean, it was a very graphic scene for sure.
Was there any indication that your stepdad would take your mom's life and then his?
Not necessarily. I mean, he had a few moments throughout my childhood, which it's ironic we're having this conversation because I just had this conversation with two of my friends over dinner once, and it was the first time I really spoke about it. So, no, I mean, there was no indication. There were probably 3 or 4 instances throughout middle school and high school where, I mean, like I mentioned to them, it was high school. I was coming home from getting an offer from Virginia Tech, so I'm excited, wanting to tell people, and at home I'm dealing with my stepdad having a whole, like, episode, like, going crazy, and I'm coming home excited to tell my mom that, and I can't even do that. So, I mean, there were moments like that where it was kind of just crazy.
When you're at the scene, was your first inclination to call 911? Was it to protect your sisters? Was it to call the Potts family? Do you remember your reaction?
I had told my sisters, the youngest ones, to go to the room, just go in the room, shut the door, like, don't come out, because I didn't want them. For one, the oldest, not oldest, but the oldest middle sister had seen it already. The youngest hadn't. She was asleep. She had kind of no clue what was going on. So I just told them to go to the room and shut the door and just stand there, and I'll come get them. So after doing that, I just called my sister. And before I could call 911, I just went and called her and let her know what was happening. She obviously didn't believe me. I mean, at first she was like stop playing, like whatever. But, you know, I said it again. Obviously, I'm dead serious. So I called her and told her, and she left work. She was at work at the time, so she's leaving work. I just made sure to tell her to drive safe, like don't get into an accident trying to speed her, and then I called 911.
Now, your sister Envy.
Yes, sir.
Is who you're talking about? She was was she in college by then? Was she still in high school?
She was a freshman at the University of Tennessee, and she was
Okay.
actually just working part-time for the fun of it, I guess.
Nobody should have to go through an incident like that. But I wonder, did it maybe make you closer to your younger sisters?
To an extent. The Potts family, as you mentioned, I mean, I'm pretty close with them, and that's who my sisters actually live with. So they've allowed me to be have a brother role and not necessarily have to completely step up and be like a father figure.
Lehman Jewelers offers more than 90 years of combined craftsman experience and is the leader in appraisals, estate, and custom jewelry. Kindness and integrity are our top values. Located in Turkey Creek and Maryville, Lehman Jewelers is your hometown jeweler of choice. Come experience the difference.